Good evening, everyone, and welcome to this session of LitFestX. We are joined by Piyush Jha, who's an acclaimed film director, ad filmmaker, and the author of a few best-selling novels like Mumbai Stan and Compass Box Killer and Anti-Social Network, to name a few. He was a student political leader at university. He pursued a career in advertising management after acquiring an MBA degree. And later, he switched tracks first to make commercial and then, direct feature films as well. His films have included likes of Chalo America, King of Bollywood, and Sikandar. Uh, Piyush, welcome to LitFestX.
Thank you for having me.
Piyush, some of your work, both in writing as well as films, have explored narratives in crime, very deeply.
Right.
And there's always been this ongoing discussion about, whether cinema's portrayal of crime and killers, and maybe one can also say the grandiose way in which villains are portrayed
Right.
has in fact led to people taking up to crime or trying to enact some of those acts of crime, or even maybe just the flavor of those grandiose villains. And many times filmmakers also say that they are simply depicting what's happening in real life. So it's good to have you with us to discuss this topic. And as an opening, what are your sort of broad views on this?
Well, the thing is that there's always a kind of a fear that people do get inspired by what they see and what they read. But more often than not, the filmmakers and writers are inspired by what they see around them. There are certain things where in real life, crimes, etc., which in real life, which are far more bizarre as compared to what you can read or see on a film. Sometimes when if I would write, were to write a story, let's say, of about a hotel which is suddenly attacked by 8 people who come in a boat from a foreign country and take over that hotel for 4 days, and the whole country comes to a standstill. Would you believe me? You wouldn't believe me. Nobody would believe me if I wrote that. But that it actually happened. So yes, truth is stranger than fiction, and unfortunately, most of the time, people, writers and creative people, are inspired by what actually happens rather than the other way around. But again, now let me tell you, I have just finished writing my next book, and it's in the editing process. And just about a month back, there was a huge case which came up, the Sheena Bora murder case, and I found certain elements in the case very similar to what I had shown in my book, But I had taken it from reality, and I had believed in a way that this always happened, and finally it came out. For example, the bodies being put away, kind of dumped in Raigad and then not being found, or even after being found, nobody really paid attention as to what it was. I've used that kind of a thing in my book, and I was in fact at that point of time wondering whether people will actually believe it. But thankfully, now that the Sheena murder case is out and people know that these kind of things happen in real life, they will not say that I'm actually cheating and I'm writing ridiculously unimaginable things. But unfortunately, crazy things happen.
Just as in television, for example, if you're watching shows which are about stunts or which are about tricks, or requiring contestants to do acts of bravery, or physical effort, etc., which have a element of risk and danger in it, we find constant messages, both text on the screen, as well as the anchor mentioning again and again that don't try this at home, because clearly people have seen that people have tried to emulate some of that behavior in real life.
Sure.
And even if it is at personal risk, even if it is meaning that there could be loss of property, injury, death, so on and so forth. So in that context, why aren't we seeing some of this cautionary approach even in cinema?
Well, saying don't do this at home is like putting that sign on a cigarette packet saying cigarette smoking is injurious to health. That everybody knows it, right? Somewhere somebody has decided that somebody should put it on the box. That's all, and so everybody is following suit. But actually, everybody who reads a book knows that this is the wrong thing. So they are not supposed to be doing that. This is fiction, or this is just something which has been created, to kind of entertain me or to kind of give me a thrill. Nobody's actually supposed to be doing it, even watching it on a film. The only people who actually do it or foolishly do it are people who are looking for trouble. You can't stop anybody who's looking for trouble. If somebody wants to create trouble, no amount of good values, no amount of religious training, and no amount of mother telling you, beta, aise mat karna, will stop that person. That person will go and do it, right? And he will find sources, and he will find books, and he will find movies, etc., to be inspired by, or you just cannot stop them. So putting a sign out there or saying this is not to be used is something which I believe that is really childish, and it's, I think, an individual who can read that book or watch that movie should know very well clearly that this is something which is an imaginary, fictitious thing, and I should not attempt it, either at home or out in the street.
Right. There is a lot of stuff that gets portrayed uh, on the big screen or even on the small screen, which clearly filmmakers or even cinematographers are today using technology and pushing certain boundaries,
Right.
right? And at times it gets difficult for the average viewer or the uninitiated viewer to know, how much of this is imagery, how much of it is reality, right? And in such an environment, do you think it is becoming increasingly incumbent upon the entire, unit, whether it is the director or the cinematographer or the person managing special effects, etc., to say that, okay, how much, how far is too far? What can we portray, and leave it to the judgment of the viewer to say that yes, let's assume that the person viewing it will know ki ha ye to possible nahi hai.
I put it to you another way. You see, how many films are being made, and how many films have been made across the number 100 years or so of Indian cinema? How many films have shown, bad things, crime, dakaitis, killings, etc.? Look at the numbers. How many of them have been replicated? Not very many. So it is clear that people do not really get inspired by television or movies. It is within them. The fault is lies within them, their circumstances perhaps, which creates them, a dissonance in their mind and wants, makes them commit crimes. They might choose one odd thing here and there. I'll use a knife instead of a gun because a knife is more silent. Yes, but you can't blame a film for that. You can't blame a book for that. The instances of them, the films inspiring, or movies or books or television inspiring actual crimes, is absolutely minimal. Absolutely minimal. And studies have been actually conducted, let's say not in India, perhaps in the West, they have been conducted because, sometime in the 60s, etc., people had those concerns, and studies were conducted, and they did find that actually the effect was minimal. It was the other way around, where movies, and television were inspired by it. And I believe within India also. And about the audience, let me tell you that the audience are not that foolish that people and sometimes even filmmakers, think that they are, or assume them to be. They are not that. They are pretty smart. They can make a difference, between what is right and what is wrong, and what is fiction and what is reality. They aren't, led into, a scenario where they believe that these things actually, can be done in the real world with, and they know that sometimes that is technology being used, so they are smart enough to kind of make the difference. And
Right.
I believe that there is a line where the filmmaker does draw, and within himself, and will not show something which can really hurt sentiments. Sometimes it happens, but the cases are very minimal. Again,
Because you hit an interesting point that when the filmmaker is drawing a line within himself, so
right,
it is not so much about saying that this is a fact and it's already happened and I will show it the way it happened,
right.
because maybe that's not the best thing to do. Even if it has actually happened, it doesn't mean it has to be portrayed to its true shape and form.
But I'll tell you. See, the filmmaker, for example, has got an option to depict a crime. Okay, for example, I want to kill somebody. I want to show somebody being killed, right? So I, as a filmmaker, have the option of me showing you a gun going off and the bullet going and hitting that person and blood spurting out from there, and that man, or making a hole in that person's body, the bullet coming out from the other side, the man falling down dead, foam coming out of his mouth, him hitting his head breaking, etc. So that is one option. The other option is that I show you a bullet, I show you a man's reaction holding his chest, I show you a trickle of blood, and I show you the man dropping. Both of them depict the man dying and the bullet killing the man. Now it's the choice that the filmmaker decides to make, whether he wants to be as graphic as in the first instance or not as graphic and yet convey the thought as in the second instance. That's where the filmmakers draw the line, and I understand that some people do want to get graphic and show the brutality of certain things, like you to put people off. For example, you would do that in the case of perhaps a rape, where you show the brutality rather than the titillation. If you see, say, let's say Bandit Queen, for example, and you see the rape in that, it's brutal. Nobody got titillated by that, but it was a rape being shown. It was a very bad thing. It was a crime being shown, but nobody got titillated by that. Everybody got off put by that, and perhaps it has made, and I hope and I believe that it has made a difference in a lot of people's mind that this is bad, and it probably had that effect on a lot of people who might have even imagined ever that they could go to that length. And I believe that the filmmaker did it in the right way. There was a lot of controversy at that point in time where people said, "Oh, the rape was shown in such, you know, in such open way, in such an open way." But I believe that it had to be shown. So these are the choices that one makes. Should one show it for creating an effect of it being wrong? Because I believe every filmmaker believes that crime is wrong, or well, I think far more believe that crime and the result is wrong, things are resulting out of that are wrong, than less people. And I believe that most people would take precaution and show a crime in a way that kind of conveys that it is the wrongdoing. Uh, those who do it to titillate also perhaps want to convey it, but that's the choice somebody makes. Quentin Tarantino has been blamed many times that he shows crime in a very graphic way, and and that inspires crime. I don't really think. I mean, if somebody were to really conduct a study, the effect of Quentin Tarantino films on actual crime, you will find that it is minimal. You know, And actually, Quentin Tarantino has depicted a lot of stuff which is actually reality. So I don't even think that even graphic crime is leads to people doing it, but it's a choice that a filmmaker decides to make.
Right. Coming to your writing, I mean, what is the kind of reader sort of interaction you had? People who read some of your crime novels. Uh, Tell us a little bit about what has been people's reactions.
Well, my readership is essentially the youth and young adults, and they are mainly from just started working or in the early stages of working. And of course, I have a small group of people who are older, 35 plus people who are who like my work. But I would say mostly the younger generation likes my work. I also show a lot of stuff which is, I mean, in my books, depict a lot of things which are happening around us, and I take from what society offers and the ills of society, if anything, and I do at the end of it all give justice to the reader, and therefore that is satisfies the reader. And most of my readers love my characters, specifically a character called Inspector Virkar, who's become quite famous, and they keep telling me that they want to see quickly read as soon as they finish the book, they want to read the next book. Most of them say that they couldn't put my books down because they find it to be page turners. Most of them tell me that they read each book in 2 or 3 hours because they are really fast reads and they enjoyed themselves, and they look for more. So my next book is coming out in December. So this time I've taken a slightly different aspect of crime, and I hope my readers enjoy it, and I can appeal to more and a larger audience.
Sure. Your new book you had mentioned is about sort of serial killers.
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit more.
The Indian serial killers have been often ignored in the media, even by the police, and therefore not very well known. Perhaps the only serial killer who's known well is Charles Sobraj, and there's a movie out of him on him right now. And that too, he's not an Indian serial killer because he's essentially a Frenchman. The Indian serial killer, if any, was Otto Shankar or Raman Raghav, perhaps the Gavit sisters or the Joshi Abhyankar murder cases in Pune. Again, those were not really, So essentially, the idea of a serial killer has not been understood in India, especially because a serial killer is a person who is mentally unstable. And you have to understand that in India, the mental health is something which we do not really come to grips with and come to terms with. The idea of somebody being mentally unstable or mentally challenged, even within our own family, is something of a taboo for us. It kind of is something that we don't talk about, and we kind of put it away under the carpet. If somebody is even slightly ill, we kind of consign him away into a dark room in the back of the house, or even do not want to talk about his or her problems to the rest of the world, or it's some kind of a blight which has fallen on us. That's our society, and because of that kind of a society that we live in, a serial killer who's a mentally unstable, unbalanced person has never been acknowledged in the way that he should be acknowledged. While I must tell you that serial killers prosper and have existed in our country for hundreds of years. Today, if you take account of how many serial killers have been documented, you'll find there are about 30. In 100,000 years of our existence, okay, let's say, even after 66 years of independence, only 30 serial killers have been actually approximately 30 have been actually documented and acknowledged. It's just not possible, right? It's just not possible that there are just so few in this kind of a population that we have. So there are many out there who are not recognized and not accepted. The police do not have the profiling tools or the forensic knowledge to be able to kind of put things together on about serial killers, Indian serial killers, and actually track them and find them. There's a person called Cyanide Mohan. He killed almost 8 or 10 women on the same bus stop, in the same bus station, in the bathroom of the same bus station. But it was never linked together till he was caught, he was by mistake. So most of the serial killers have been caught by mistake. There have been a few who have been caught by great police investigation, but most of them are unchallenged, go about, with their.
So tell us very quickly. I mean, our session's about to end, but very quickly, what is it largely about, and what can readers expect from your upcoming book?
Hello, back again.
Yeah, Piyush. Yeah. So I was saying, what is the overall sort of backdrop and story for the upcoming book, and what can readers expect from it?
Well, the readers can expect a great, thrilling story, as is my style of writing. It's a very fast read. It's an interesting and perhaps even touching tale of an Indian serial killer, and also there's a bonus section about the India's least known serial killers. So it's in a way my attempt to kind of give the reader an understanding of what creates a serial killer, how he can actually go about so easily in India conducting his serial his spree, and how the police are challenged at most times to kind of put together an action. But at the end of the day, I believe that the police will always persevere and sort of be able to get their man, and that's what I've depicted. And I believe that only a sensitization is very important for the police to understand how to go after the serial killer, and that again I've depicted. So it's not a after saying all these things, it's not a huge tome. It's an exciting, thrilling read, and it's an entertaining book, and it will also inform you. And please go and read it and enjoy yourself and understand about Indian serial killers.
Right. Well, Piyush, thank you so much for joining us for this session at LitFestX. I know internet bandwidth has not helped during this session greatly, but I'm sure in time to come that will improve, and we'll be able to have more seamless sessions.
Sure.
But great to have you on board, and some interesting insights on making cinema and writing your books and how crime features there.
Right.
We wish your upcoming book all the success, and look forward to seeing continued great work from you.
Thank you very much for having me.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Bye.